Well, first of all, I'd like to say what a great pleasure it is to be back in the Azores, and particularly in Terra Nostra garden. It's a garden I've known for about 30 years now, and it's a difficult garden to manage. I say that with some feeling because I've gardened in the dry zones of Australia and the Middle East, the wet tropics along the equator, and in the temperate lands of the Himalaya. But never have I found a garden so challenging as Terra Nostra. And yet it's been a garden for 150 years. If you go back in history, it could be 250 years. It's a difficulty because, or it's a challenge rather, because it's in the bottom of an immense caldera. And there the soils vary from a pH of 3, which is very acid, up to neutral. And it varies in different parts of the garden. And that affects the kinds of plants you can grow. The water that streams here, some of them run hot. One doesn't expect that in a garden. And then of course it's a breeding place because of the humidity for all the diseases you can imagine that can attack trees. And the other thing is that it's a wonderful place for lesmas, snails and slugs, which is my first Portuguese word that I ever learned. So the humidity here makes for great difficulties. Some 20 years ago, Fernando Costa was appointed curator of the gardens, and the first thing that was done was a major survey of all the trees here. There are over 2,000 of them, and the survey showed the amount of work that needed to be done, and in the ensuing months this was done. Taking trees out that were past their best, making sure the wind could pass through the crowns of the denser trees, taking out diseased limbs of the trees, and so on. And the men who did that concluded at the end of the time they were working here, they had climbed trees to the same height of Mount Everest. Following on from that, Fernando then began to look at new projects that could be developed here. And he started off with a fern garden and then a collection of Malayan rhododendrons, which are not hardy in most of Europe. So that makes Terra Nostra the only garden in Europe which grows these plants outside. It's quite unique. From the fern garden and the rhododendrons, he then proceeded to do the cycad garden and then introducing bromeliads and many other special things. But of particular importance, I think, are the camellias. His decision to go for those in a big way, I think, is important because it reinforces the link that Portugal has in its history with the camellia, which goes back until the 16th century. Yes, Senor Costa has been very carefully thinking about the garden for a long time because of the difficulties here. Why some plants will grow in some areas and not in others. Why some die, some succeed. And this is all to do with the dynamics of the ecology here, which is a very intimately interwoven affair. And so it's only by studying this with a lot of patience and a lot of attention can one begin to understand that. And by doing so, Fernando is beginning to work out where new ideas can come, where new plantings can happen. There's a lot of the garden still to be tamed, wild areas still to be brought into cultivation. And over time, this will happen, and very exciting developments I think there will be as well. And with the enlightened backing of the owners of the garden, the Ben-Sood company, I think the two of them will go from strength to strength, and that the Terra Nostra garden will become the jewel in the crown, if it's not already, in the rich cultural heritage of the Azores, which makes these islands so very special.